On today's episode, we're going to rescue a rare 1989 BMW Z1 from the design studio of an unnamed EV manufacturer. We will free the museum-quality roadster from captivity to give it the adventure it deserves by attempting to drive it 1,200 miles from California to Colorado under its own power. Along the way, we'll bring the Euro spec convertible back to roadworthiness, navigate rush hour and steep mountain passes, baby the delicate retracting doors, and do all of this while outrunning a late season winter storm that could seriously threaten the pristine condition of the car. We're going to put the Z1 to the ultimate test to emancipate it from a lifetime on display and prove that the roadster is truly at its best when out in the wild. In April, I got a last-minute call to retrieve the Z1 from an ailing electric car company. Sitting for years without being driven, it required a thorough safety inspection, so we turned to our good friends at Swiss Motors to get it road ready for its triumphant escape.
This was a Euro model only.
What do you normally look for when the car's been sitting forever?
Mainly safety, wheel bearings. You want to see the stamp date on the tires. They're 20 years old.
As we hooked it up, it started smoking under the hood. It had burned all the diodes and the alternator.
Oh, you rebuilt the original alternator?
Yes.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
You just gotta love an E30.
Or Marcel, a big awkward hug.
I will.
Got it in Jeremy's garage. So I sold this car in March of 2021. And I really haven't seen it since. We got it to Swiss Motors. They've done fluids, they did a battery, they bled the clutch. I brought a minimal amount of tools, but we're gonna get it ready because we gotta hit the road tonight. The gentleman that owned this car, this is all of his story of having this car, which I can tell you was his pride and joy for decades before he sold it. This is some stuff from a unidentified company that we're not allowed to talk about, but they probably want this back. Trying to think what could strand us. OEM Bosch relays, main relay, fuel pump relay. And then I brought my tools. And you fit all of this in the confines of that tiny trunk with the option to keep the top down. So I think what I'll have to do is like de-pack stuff. Fortunately, I brought some small bags. Thank you, friends at Cavu. So that being a Euro spec car, it required a little creativity to mount the US plate. This was a fateful maneuver that would soon become a much bigger hassle than we had planned for. All right, the car's loaded. It's dark. Traffic has subsided. We're showing about just over 4 hours to Las Vegas. We're gonna load up and head east. I feel totally exposed. Like, yeah. I can drag my hand on the ground. It's about to get real cold. Dude, this thing's got some punch though. Woo! There's so many cars. This journey is more than just a rescue. It's an opportunity to liberate the Z1 from a largely captive life. The Z1 never came to the States, but this example spent many years in the GE Horizons exhibit at Epcot Center before serendipitously finding its way to the road in the late 1990s. We aimed to complete the journey back to Colorado with the top and doors down, which even in May was proving to be progressively colder as the miles ticked on. Although the retractable doors are the defining feature of the Z1, they are driven by M20 timing belts and can be extremely difficult to repair if the belt snaps. It's a moment of truth. Here we go. Faced with falling temperatures in wide open desert, we quickly revised our ambitions. We're just climbing the hill up to Barstow and we put the doors up. We tested them at the gas station and it is infinitely more civilized in here. We're bathed in heat. It's like we're sitting in a hot tub. But we're here pretty vast contrast of stimulation from wide open desert to Las Vegas at 1 a.m. Arriving at the cheapest option on the strip, we had no problem finding a spot for the Z1 under the watchful eye of the valet concierge. That was when we discovered that the integrated rear spoiler was too effective, having blown our plate into the night somewhere between Barstow and Las Vegas. Our tail between our legs, we tucked the Z1 in for the night and brainstormed options of how to get a replacement tag to complete the journey.
Yeah, that's pretty snowy.
Avoiding places like this has been such a formative part of my life. I actually have a tag that I never issued that we're gonna use to get home on, so we're legal. And we gotta find the business center. Whew, made it. Freshly tagged in the morning light, we got our first sampling of just how magnetic this unique Euro convertible is. And that's why I have this.
Well, that's not.
That's probably what you're used to.
This is what you got to put on. It's about as good as a band.
Well, this actually was never made to accept a United States license plate.
But, hey, if nothing else, this is one hell of a chick magnet.
I cringe at doing this. It's just got to get us to a store where we can buy some detailer's tape. The $50 coffee stop nourished and caffeinated us, and we met some friendly people from Michigan. Overall, I'd say that was a successful overnight. On the way out of town, we were stopped by a British man who claimed that the last time he'd seen one of these was in a bog. Then he kindly asked me if I would do the doors for the lady, to which I was happy to oblige.
Beautiful.
Leaving Las Vegas, we heard what could only be the sound of freedom, the quiver of low-flying F-22s embarking on a red flag exercise out of Nellis Air Force Base. I apologize for losing my composure, but I could sit there at the end of the runway all day and do that. That was awesome. The first stop along our route was a detour to Nevada's most aggressively named state park, the Valley of Fire. Here, the scenery lived up to its demonic name with fiery red rocks, prickly cacti, and wayward selfie takers. I've actually seen this place from the air. It stands out dramatically because you have this large grouping of red rocks, the more brown desert. So interesting and worthy excursion to come through. East of Cedar City, the desert gave way to aspen groves, alpine meadows, and eventually snow, a surprising and refreshing cooldown from the desert heat. Here we are at the gate to Cedar Breaks National Monument. We've climbed out of the depths of the desert up to the peaks here just below 10,000 feet, and the heat of Valley of Fire to the crisp, cool mountain air of these snow-covered peaks in Utah, and all of the tension and anxiety, and I could just feel the funk of being in that kind of crowded, high-density area just wash away. Pushing north, we realized that our luck with the weather might be running thin. We're heading off into the darkness, and it looks pretty damn ominous out there. We found more red rocks on the high plateau of Dixie National Forest, named by a southern contingent of Mormon settlers who were sent here in the 1850s by Brigham Young. Last glimmer of sunlight. We arrived in Escalante with sore bones, cold nerves, and a craving for pizza before we ventured on to our unique dwelling for the night, a literal hole in the earth. Our new friend Grant ferried us from the parking spot up the creek to his amazing cave. There was no way the low-slung sports car would have made it, so we were forced to abandon the Z1 for the night and hope for the best. Grant, a uranium miner by trade, had carved and blasted out the cave over the last 15 years. His home was an underground labyrinth, a work of art with multiple levels and separate guest quarters. The next morning, we got a better look at the truly unique dwelling in the morning light. Caffeinated and baconated. Cave last night was awesome. Now we're gonna go Escalante to Boulder, Utah over the Hogback, which is one of the best, most scenic drives in the area. It's really cold, much lower than is seasonable. Looking downstream, there's a pretty consistent blizzard that's just been parked on the top of Vail Pass. So we may need to divert south because ultimately the mission is to rescue the Z1, and if we get caught in a snowstorm, that's not going to do the car any favors. Here we just crossed the Escalante River. We're in the basin. We're going to climb out of the basin onto the Hogback. 1,000-foot drop-offs on either side. And what a way to experience it with the doors down. Underneath, the natural assumption is that it's like an E30 with some fancy plastic body kit, and that's because of the M20 engine. But despite its E30 underpinnings, the thing that's truly remarkable, this was the first BMW based on the 3 Series platform to have a multi-link rear suspension. That would eventually find its way to the E36 M3. But even the first C3 did not have this suspension. It means I don't have any of the pitch and lift tendencies of a trailing arm rear suspension. So I don't need to mind my throttle as much as I do in a regular E30. It's amazing. With so much focus on the driving experience, we failed to notice how quickly the sky was turning gray. So, looking at the radar, there's rain showers to the north, and there's still snow just parked on Vail Pass. So I think what we're gonna do is add some time, and it may be significant, and cut south. We'll go east to Hanksville, cut south to Height, cross the Colorado, and then enter Colorado through the Four Corners region. The enthusiastic morning drive quickly turned into a frantic sprint as we outran the front that seemed to be glued to our bumper. So we've encountered our first rain, and it's dirt rain, but all it is just virga, which is moisture spilling out of these clouds. It's just mid-level subsidence, and it's so dry, most of it's evaporating before it hits the ground. Dropping into familiar territory from our trip in the E39 M5, we got a brief moment of sunlight as we passed the airstrip in picturesque Height, Utah. But the skies turned dark again on the other side of the Colorado River. Because of the pristine condition of the low-mileage Z1, we were acutely aware that although the shortest route through the Rockies was enticing, it could also expose it to permanent damage. Going south would significantly increase our mileage, but it was worth the trade-off to make it back to Denver unscathed. We've been just getting very faint echoes. The coolant oil looks good. Even at a tiny outpost in southeastern Utah, the Z1 attracted admiration from a group of Swiss friends on a classic American road trip.
Fred.
With daylight fading, we crossed the border and arrived at another harmonious and immersive dwelling, a TeePee. Assuming the weather held, we would be well positioned for a dry final leg tomorrow. Oh yes! This is awesome. You always wonder, like you see like TeePee, yurt come stay in our place, but the cave was awesome. But this is probably the nicest place we've stayed in yet. Way better than the casino. Ugh. 8 o'clock. The sun is setting. TeePee is literally nicer than my house. And what a great place to come back to after spending the majority of the day in some form of freezing. It's been amazing to watch people's reaction, and people that know the car, particularly Europeans, because that was the home market for this car, know exactly what it was. But underneath that skin, there's so much more. In 1985, BMW developed an internal brand, BMW Technic, to research and design future concepts and technology. And out of that was born the Z1. We'll take what we have, which was the M20 engine from the E30, and we'll design a car extremely lightweight, extremely resilient, and extremely unique. So they reached out to GE and to their plastics department and said, hey, we want to design a new material for these doors and these side panels that'll withstand door dings and foot marks and make the doors light so they can go up and down. So GE developed that product for them. And then when BMW released the car, they gifted one to General Electrics, and that was this car. So they put the car in the GE Horizons Pavilion in Disney World at Epcot Center, and it stayed there. And then when they closed that, it went to the head of GE's plastics division in Massachusetts. They went through the incredibly arduous process to make it legal. And then he eventually decided to sell it. And the car came to Colorado, and then it stayed here for the next 21 years. And then it's been on hiatus in California for the last 3 years. And now we're gonna bring it home to Colorado, and then we'll see where it ends up from there. It's an incredible piece of BMW's legacy, and probably one of the nicest ones there is. The future chapter of this car's story is yet to be told.
As twilight melted into darkness, the front we had managed to stay ahead of finally decided that it had had enough.
Heavy snow currently, right now, 25 degrees, -4. Chance of precipitation, 90%. New nighttime snow accumulation, 3 to 7 inches. Thunder snow is also possible. Dude, we can't go over that. What if we went all the, I mean, dude, we could run to Santa Fe. That's like, hasn't really changed a whole lot. In fact, if anything, it's gotten worse. Advisory with increasing snowfall amounts, and that covers pretty much all the Colorado Rockies. I think our only option is the nuclear option, which is to head north. In the essence of preserving the car, we can't put the top down. I can't take a chance on deforming or cracking or wearing this rear window, and they just don't like it when it's cold to make that bend. And it's so nice. I think we have to sacrifice and leave the top up, which means not sacrificing and being quite comfortable if it's 38 degrees out.
With a new plan of attack and the obligatory airplane stop behind us, we headed north, hoping to get the Z1 to shelter before the snowstorm turned our rescue mission into a blunder. North of Naturia, we encountered Uravan, a mining town crucial in extracting uranium for the Manhattan Project. Leaving Gateway, the weather reports over the high passes of the Rockies deteriorated, making the decision to continue shift from questionable to irresponsible. Swallowing our pride, we reversed course to the west to stash the car at our outpost in Mac on the Colorado-Utah border. Everyone seems to always make it on these journeys, but that wasn't the case with us today. We had a duty to preserve the Z1. We'd have to leave it to be recovered later and then find another way home.
So we're gonna stash this away for safekeeping and break out my secret weapon. No battery tender, no nothing. Starts on the first time, every time.
The two-wheel drive Tacoma was a welcome relief compared to the anxiety of maintaining the condition of the Z1. We transferred our things, bid a temporary farewell to the Z1, and set off for the rest of the journey. Everyone needs a Tacoma stash somewhere in their life, especially when an emergency calls. Even though it was only two-wheel drive, we knew it was up to the task to get us back home. Let's talk about like rock solid. Showering the Tacoma with praise didn't stop it from releasing its hood latch.
All those nice things about how reliable you were. The hood latch has to go in great. Soon the cops showed up to see what we were doing in the weeds, only to be too late. We fixed it just in time. It closed, you're a lucky charm. Well, Sheriff was our lucky charm. Thank you, Mesa County. This might be interesting. There is why we didn't bring the Z1. Because being behind that, and it's only gonna get worse. We're just getting pelted with rocks, debris. Like right now, look at the windshield. Like, we could not do this to the Z1. Hear it? Hear that like ting, 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 ting? We made the right call. Any kernel of doubt I had, totally erased her. Vindicated by making the right decision, we finished the journey with the trusty Taco and recovered the Z1 when the weather cleared, completely safe and sound. Although we had to sacrifice the journey, we proved that despite its years of laying dormant, the Z1 is at its best when out on the open road.